Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this Hearthstone The Witchwood preview video, I'm going to take a look at the new Rogue class legendary card Tess Greymane and the Burgle Rogue archetype that Blizzard seems to be pushing for Rogue once again. Tess Greymane is an 8-mana 6/6 minion with a battle cry to replay every card from another class that you have played this game. Targets are chosen randomly. Many people have already compared this to Yogg-Saron, the infamous old god who would cast random spells with random targets, as many as you have cast spells in the entire game. However, there are also some marked differences between the abilities of the two, because Tess Greymane only casts these exact spells and minions that you have played in that game. And that's also an important distinction, because let's say you only have played minions from another class and no spells. Well, then Tess Greymane is actually much closer to Nesoth the Corruptor. And with an interesting twist, because it replaces every card from another class you have played this game. So if you play a minion from another class and it gets stolen or it gets transformed, that doesn't matter. Tess replaces it anyway. Furthermore, in a best case scenario, you can then combine these two. Let's say you have played a Flame Strike from a mage and you have a bunch of mage minions. Then you play Tess. You play Flame Strike to clear the opponent's board and you build a board of your own. There's clearly some potential power in Tess. We have also received one clarification on Tess's ability from Blizzard, which is a comparison between Tess and Linessa Sunsoro, another minion that recasts things that you have already played during the game. And in this case, while Linessa casts the spells in the exact order that you played them during the game, Tess does not. Tess plays the cards in a random order. So if you have played any direct damage spells or such, even if you played those first and minions after, you may end up playing minions first and using spells to kill them. Be warned. For Tess to work, she obviously needs a bunch of fuel, and that fuel is cards from another class. Well, this archetype is commonly known as Burgle Rogue. Since Burgle, which has long gone to wild already, Blizzard has repeated this mechanic numerous times. And it's an interesting time to push Burgle Rogue, because lots of Burgle Rogue synergy cards are just about to rotate into wild. When we take a look at Swashbuckler, Undercity Huckster, Shaku the Collector, and even Ethereal Peddler, all of these are just about to go out into the wild. 3 of these saw some play. Swashbuckler and Shaku saw the most play. Undercity Huckster saw a bit of experimentation. Ethereal Peddler practically couldn't see any play because there was never a full-on committed Burgle Rogue deck. And Ethereal Peddler would really want to be in such a deck, which would be possible now maybe with Tess and other synergy cards, but unfortunately Ethereal Peddler is going away, so it's not going to help your full-on Burgle Rogue dream. However, there is some support left and plenty of new support coming. Looking at the potential to build a full-on Burgle Rogue, there are cards coming like Spectral Cutlass, which is a lifesteal weapon that gains durability whenever you play cards from another class. So in order to justify that 4-mana cost for a 2/2 lifesteal weapon, you would have to be able to play a bunch of cards from another class to buff it. And that means that it would really have to go into a fairly slow, full-on committed Burgle Rogue deck. And even if such a slow rogue deck would be able to be built, then wouldn't Kingsbane just be better? I have a hard time seeing Spectral Cutlass seeing play. Another new card that is committed to these kinds of fully on Burgle things is Pickpocket, a 2-mana echo spell that adds a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. This can of course be huge value in late game, so for 10 mana you can play this spell 5 times and you can get 5 cards. That's a lot of value, but it's very low tempo and it only becomes truly powerful in the late game, and you would have to be able to dedicate a turn in the late game to do pretty much nothing. Can Rogue do that? With its current tools, it's a bit difficult to see that. Maybe with the help of Kingsbane, perhaps there is a deck there, but it's a struggle. Finally, there is a bit of existing support for the archetype in the form of Lillian Voss, which is a 4-mana 4/5 minion, good stat line, with a battle cry to replace spells in your hand with random spells from your opponent's class. So this replaces all the spells. If you already have spells from your opponent's class and those spells are bad, you can try to reroll them with Lillian Voss, or you can turn rogue spells into spells of your opponent's class with Lillian Voss. So Lillian would also support this sort of archetype that is heavily dedicated to using opponent's class resources. However, that is not all there is to it. There are other support cards that can also go with a smaller splash of burgling and leaving more room for other options in a deck. Cards such as Hallucination, which is the other support card that we have remaining from Journey to Un'Goro. Hallucination is the most powerful card about giving your opponent class resources, because Hallucination is a discover effect. Discover a card from your opponent's class. So you get 3 choices. Essentially you're already rolling tries when you play Hallucination, and you get to pick the best one. So the quality of cards you get from Hallucination is much higher than with the other ones. There's also some potential to use Face Collector, another new rogue legendary, 3-mana 2/2 with Echo and Battlecry to add a random legendary minion to your hand, in the same kind of fashion in a Burgle Rogue deck. Because these random legendaries can be from any class. There's a pretty high probability that you end up with neutral legendaries, but you can also end up with legendaries from other classes. And then if you play those legendary minions, and later you play Tess Greymane, she resummons those legendary minions. Face Collector is a bit on the slow side though, so we'll see how that turns out. There's also a final bit of support for the archetype in the form of Blink Fox, a 3-mana 3/2 with a Battlecry to add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. So this is like a Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler was a 1-mana 1/1 and a pirate, which was sometimes significant, whereas Blink Fox is a 3-mana 3/3 beast, although Rogue doesn't really do well with beasts. Nonetheless, Blink Fox has stat line that's adequate. You can play this on turn 3. Whether the opponent has a board or doesn't have a board doesn't really matter, it's always playable, so it's some kind of a card that could go into a Burgle Rogue archetype. There are multiple paths for the Burgle Rogue archetype to take. You could put all of this stuff in it and have a really slow, high value Burgle Rogue deck. I would still probably go with Kingsbane over the Spectra Cutlass if I was to go with that line though. Or you can make a smaller splash of it. So you could run Tess, so as a combined Yogg-Saron Nesot effect. You could run just Hallucination and Blink Fox maybe, if you really don't want to give up any tempo. The next step would be to add something like the Face Collector, and after that you would already get pretty heavy into that Burgle meta. Or finally, it's also possible that some of these Burgle cards will see play, even without Tess. After all, Tess is an 8-mana minion. She comes out very late in the game. So maybe you run, for example, just Blink Fox. Blink Fox is a decent tempo play. It can see play in multiple archetypes. So even though Blizzard is pushing this kind of Burgle Rogue archetype, it's possible that some of these cards may end up seeing play as splashes in other archetypes, even though the burgling is not the central piece of those decks. In fact, Rogue players haven't really been asking for Burgle, it's just something that Blizzard is very adamant on pushing. Rogue players are typically players of stuff like Miracle Rogue, these type of combo-ish heavy cycle decks, and Burgle Rogue really doesn't do that. So if I was to bet, I would bet that there will be rogue archetypes other than the ones that are pushed, but some form of Burgle Rogue may also make an appearance alongside those. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.